you'll be happy to know that those problems seem to have been resolved. Cutting holes in this £1,000 bonnet.
One of the lads got stuck straight into replacing Esther's rear tyres.
See ya.
This metal saddle bracket thing got removed along with these saddle bushes, but the lowering blocks themselves got refitted.
Esther is now a noticeable amount higher at the back. The weather is grim. And yeah, they basically started popping out that it is all chewed up and stuff. I hate the way it looks, and that will now lock in place. I've got so much to do tomorrow, it's unreal. Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Marcus Hayes, and in the video before last we had some running issues with Esther, my ST170 powered Mk1 Escort, when I took her for a spin after putting her back together. But you'll be happy to know that those problems seem to have been resolved. Now in the last video we obviously went to pick up this brand new carbon fibre bonnet for Esther from GARRY. I also picked up a heater bubble for this car in carbon fibre and some carbon fibre headlight rings for Maud, my Mk2 Escort. If you haven't seen the last video, definitely go and check it out because you'll get a good look around GARRY's latest project, which is a twin turbo LS V8 powered Mk1 Escort.
It's not an Escort.
Not an Escort. That's actually a TVR, which is going to be pushing out 800 horsepower. I will of course leave GARRY's links in the description as well for any of you guys that want to get any carbon fibre or fiberglass panels for your car. Now yesterday I took care of the nerve-wracking job of cutting holes in this £1,000 bonnet to fit the aero catches, and basically I decided to use tape to take a template from the old carbon fibre bonnet to make this job easier. Once I'd made the hole big enough for the aero catch to slip in, it was then just a case of drilling the holes for these fixings. Now if I open up the bonnet, you'll see that a bit of clearance also needs to be made on the underside for this other piece of the aero catches, which basically houses the nuts, and I've transferred over the bump stops from the old bonnet as well. Now I haven't fully lined this thing up yet, it's roughly there, but I do want to spend a bit of time getting it perfect, but it will do for now. Now as for the running issues, I actually replaced the coolant sensor, which was what I mentioned in the video before last, and this one's actually a bit shorter than the one that I removed, and that means there's actually more room for the plug to go onto it. So I'm pretty sure that was what was causing my issues, because I haven't had any issues since I replaced that sensor. Now while I was doing that, I also fitted the oil pressure switch in the end of the T-piece under there, and that is to control the oil pressure light on the dash. But strangely, the oil pressure gauge seems to be behaving itself as well. I haven't even tried to bodge the electrical connector on that, which seemed to be a bit dodgy when you wiggle it, but at least now I've got an oil pressure light. As you can see there. So yeah, engine's running sweet with the new coolant sensor. We now have an oil pressure light, but today I'm going to get some new rear tyres for this thing because the ones on it are very close to the legal limit, and we're going to need plenty of tread for our trip to Northern Ireland, and we're leaving the day after tomorrow. I actually really need to get to my boxing class this evening. I didn't go last week. Pretty much all of last week I didn't go to the gym because I was ill. You know, I've still been doing my workouts at home in the morning, still been having my cold showers, still been eating healthily, but yeah, my sort of ideal health and fitness routine definitely got disturbed while I've been ill. You can hear in my voice that, you know, whatever this is still hanging around. My beautiful girlfriend Kat is still ill, of course. I don't have loads of time out and about today. I spent the first half of today editing the last video, obviously when we went to see GARRY. But yeah, I want to get these tyres, and I'm hoping that I'll have time to quickly go round to the garage and raise the suspension on this thing.
When I got to Southall Discount Tyres, I bumped into my favourite recovery man, Che.
How are you, man?
Mr. Noisy.
Not as noisy as the other one.
And then one of the lads got stuck straight into replacing Esther's rear tyres. I'd ordered them last minute, so I had to settle for some Nankang budgets, which were fitted and then balanced. And before long, I was back on the road.
See ya.
Once I got to the garage, I jacked Esther's rear end up and set about trying to raise her rear ride height by removing some of the parts in between her axle and her leaf springs. This metal saddle bracket thing got removed along with these saddle bushes, but the lowering blocks themselves got refitted. And I added these rubber pieces that I found in my garage to help locate the top of the lowering block into the axle. With the lowering blocks back in where they needed to be, I carefully fastened everything back up, making sure that this nut was central in the hole on the bottom of the base plate, because there was nothing physically locating the bottom of the lowering block.
Alright, so there you go. Esther is now a noticeable amount higher at the back, but she's still sitting nice. So yeah, now we've literally just got the lowering block in there. Realistically, the bottom isn't really locating itself now, so you're literally relying on the tension on those nuts. I was able to sort of locate the top with the rubber O-rings or grommets that you saw, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to keep an eye on these nuts and, you know, keep nipping them up at least for the next couple of 100 miles or so. I do want to raise the front a little bit as well, but that'll have to wait till tomorrow because I've barely got enough time to get to my boxing class. So yeah, loads of stuff to do tomorrow on the last day before we go on our adventure. Hello, into a new day, and the weather is grim. It's actually calmed down a lot. Earlier on, for hours and hours and hours, it was just chucking it down relentlessly. I'll put a clip in now to show you. Anyway, as you can see, I've got Esther up on axle stands, and it's clear that I'm not going to be able to get through all the bits that I plan to before tomorrow's trip. And I was actually planning to get the car aligned today after I'd got through that list of jobs, and yeah, that's clearly not going to happen. It's now coming up to 4 p.m. But yeah, I've just been round here for hours waiting for the rain to stop, or at least calm down, just getting bits done in between the showers. But yeah, today has been an absolute nightmare. Anyway, let me explain what I have got done and what I'm in the process of doing at the moment. I've raised the front suspension. I literally just turned this top collar 3 turns, just done it the same amount both sides, and then obviously locked the bottom collar up against it again. Yeah, these are the special tools you use to do that. So yeah, I've raised the front probably about 10 mil, I'd say. Probably gonna make her look like a bit of a monster truck, but last year the mountain roads were a bit too much for this car, and this year she's a bit lower, so yeah, we'll just put up with her looking like a monster truck, and hopefully she'll be better suited to the roads on the run on the Sunday. Now, I've spent a bit of time on the interior. The green bulbs came through the post today for her dash, so I've now got the green bulbs in the rev counter and the speedo, so they all should be green now. But I had a bit of an issue when I was trying to mount these clocks into the dash properly. I basically only had one screw in it since I put this car together the other day, and yeah, the top 2 screws go into sort of speed clips that I've glued into the carbon dash top, and yeah, they basically started popping out. So I've chucked a load of CT1 building sealant on them just to glue them back in, and I'm going to wait for that sealer to dry before I attempt to bolt this dash back in. But basically, where this is an aftermarket binnacle and this is an aftermarket dash, they don't really fit together very well. I've tried sort of grinding away a bit of this binnacle. I might end up having to actually grind away a bit of the carbon dash, but because I intend to get a carbon fibre binnacle at some point, I'd rather modify this because I know that's not going to be staying long term. But yeah, I'll get it mounted somehow. Even, you know, worst comes to worst, I'll just have the bottom screw in as it has been. I've now put a few more screws into the carbon switch panel though, and I've also put a couple of extra switches in the 2 extra holes that I drilled in this switch panel. They're not hooked up to anything at the moment, but I wanted to have, you know, a couple of extra switches for anything that I add in the future, and also because having 2 switches looks a bit silly. So yeah, that's all screwed back in as well. But yeah, just hope that when that sealer seals, I'll actually be able to screw the clocks in. Other things I've been up to, I've mounted the exhaust a bit better. You can see that's sitting nice and straight now, and you know, all the rubbers and stuff are attached. But what I've just been working on involves this half shaft, because on this side only I had a bit of diff oil that I noticed on the back of this plate. And I remember when I fitted these uprated half shafts, now these are not to be confused with the ones that are broke that were fitted to moored before. These are retro forward ones which apparently make an English axle able to withstand 300 horsepower. So these are, you know, really beefy compared to the other ones. They're obviously the 18, is it, or 16 spline. But anyway, I remember when I fitted these, one of the O-rings got sort of chewed up as I pressed the half shaft in. So I've always known that I was going to have to revisit this, and this is something that I wanted to do before we leave on our trip. So basically, you've got this O-ring on the bearing. You can see that it is all chewed up and stuff, and I'm hoping by replacing that O-ring that will prevent the oil leak that I've got. And I'm hoping that one of these 2 sizes of O-rings that I've bought will be the correct size, because I wasn't able to find for sale anywhere, you know, Mk1 Escort half shaft O-rings, you know, listed anywhere. So I found out that the outer of a rear wheel bearing is 63mm. So I've bought these 2 sizes of O-rings. The thickness of these O-rings is 3mm, so you can sort of say that will add 6mm to the overall diameter, because, you know, 3mm there and 3mm there. So we've got these O-rings that have an inner diameter of 59, so that will make them have an outer diameter of 55, and then we've got these ones that are an inner diameter of 56, and that will make their outer diameter 62. So it's probably going to be these ones, if anything, to be honest. But if neither of them work, then we'll just chuck some sealer on that side's rear wheel bearing. So I'll just use this pick to carefully remove the old O-ring. Right, let's try this. Not sure, to be honest. I think if anything, this O-ring is too thick, so maybe be better off with a 2mm thick one, or a 1.5 maybe. If it stays in place whilst I'm pressing the half shaft in, I think it'll be alright. Let's find out.
I decided to take the O-ring off of the bearing, poke it through the backing plate for the brakes, then push the bearing through the backing plate, and then put the O-ring back on the bearing. This was a trick I learned from Cozzy Kev, and hopefully it will mean the O-ring stays in place.
Right, so the problem I've got now is there's no way of knowing if that O-ring is in the right place, because to see that I'd have to take it apart again. So I'm going to give this a thorough clean and on the back, and I'll just have to have a look later on and tomorrow before we set off to see if there's, you know, a trace of diff oil. Alright, so it's been a few hours since the last clip, and as you can see, Esther's now back on the ground. The front end is definitely noticeably higher. I hate the way it looks, but it needs to be done if she's going to have any chance on those mountain roads over in Northern Ireland. I've checked Esther's fluids. I've kind of got the dash clocks mounted now. those two screws at the top aren't really, I don't even think they're screwing into the clips that are glued there. They're probably just screwing into the expandy foam that form part of the mounts that I made myself. I have got the bottom two screws mounted quite securely. These are quite oversized screws. I have cracked the binnacle a bit there, but you know, the clocks are in tightly, and you know, I can readdress this stuff after the trip. But at least all the lights are green now. You can just about see those other two clocks are green. So still need to program the new speedo, of course, but we can do that on the road tomorrow, and we'll use the GPS sat nav to try and get it super accurate. Another little thing I've done today is I've bored out the hole for the bracket that Gary Ball put on this bonnet for the bonnet prop. And I've also modified this little 3D printed thing that my friend Nathan made for me years ago. And now I shouldn't have to worry about the wind blowing the bonnet up when I have it open at shows and stuff. And I shouldn't need to use tape to prevent the wind blowing the bonnet up. So yeah, I can now hook this into the bracket like that, and then put this into there, but then push it to the side like that. So yeah, drilled a hole in the side there, so that will now lock in place. The wind's not gonna move that. So yeah, happy days. I've got so much to do tomorrow, it's unreal. I still need to sort out some tools to take with me. I still haven't sorted out my clothes and stuff. I still need to hoover this car out and give the floor a bit of a degrease, just where it's so messy from doing all the grinding and stuff when we did the welding on the tunnel. I'm probably going to try and hoover it out this evening, to be fair, just to get that out of the way. Yeah, we still need to load up the car with all our stuff, all merchandise that I'm going to be taking with me. I would like to give the car a quick wash, although I learnt last year it's not worth giving her a proper wash until we actually get to Northern Ireland. It gets so messy on the journey. But yeah, there is so much left to do. As I mentioned, I've still got to rush back over to this area to grab my strut brace and my washer bottle. So I'll have to find time to fit those before we leave. I mean, we're not getting on the ferry until 10:30 at night, so we have got all day to sort of get ourselves sorted and then make our way up north to catch the ferry. But yeah, there's just so much left to do. One thing that I managed to do the other day that I haven't mentioned in this video is to make the windscreen watertight. I had an issue before where it would let water in between the outside of the rubber and the window aperture, and I put sealer all the way around, and that seemed to solve that. But more recently it's been coming in between the inside of the rubber and the glass, just in the bottom corners. So yesterday I put a load of sealer that side of the rubber, just sort of along the bottom and up a little bit at the bottom corners, I think all the way around. And with Esther out in the pouring rain earlier on, no water has come in, so that means she's more Northern Ireland ready in itself, because yeah, I think the weather's going to be pretty shabby while we're over there. These tyres that I've got on, some sort of budget Nankangs, are shocking. I wasn't able to get any A539 Yokohamas, although I did leave it to the last minute to order them in, so that's not Southall Discount Tyres' fault, that's my fault. So yeah, these tyres are going to be interesting. I might have to drop the pressures a bit just to try and increase the grip levels. But yeah, with the power that Esther's got, they let go instantly as soon as I put my foot down. Now I know this video's been a bit all over the place, you know, I'm trying to take you guys with me on the journey, but you know, also I had so much to do and I haven't even managed to do it all. Now the alignment is no worse than it was before I raised the suspension, so that's not a massive deal. It's not pulling to one side majorly or anything. If I find that it is driving really bad, then I can always get it aligned over in Northern Ireland. So yeah, that's one thing, you know, that's not major. But yeah, it's just a case of getting up early tomorrow, getting as much done as I can, as quick as I can, and then we're going to hit the motorway and make our way up north to catch our ferry. So I'm going to start a new video tomorrow when we embark on our journey over to Northern Ireland. Can't wait to see everyone over there. The Summit Run and Show is going to be awesome, and yeah, we'll be up to loads of other stuff while we're over there as well. So I'm going to end this video here. If you did think it was any good, please do give it a thumbs up and a share. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Click subscribe if you're new. Feel free to follow me on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. Check out my website for merch and parts. Massive thanks to all my patrons. I will leave all the links to everything in the description, along with my email address for anyone who wants to contact me. But other than that, until next time, thanks for watching.